Fuck. Yo, oh my god, this lipstick kills me. There's always too much coming out of it. Ah, well, that's a lot of hydration. Fucking hell. Too much hydration, but hey, I guess I'll do with it. Okay. I'm dry as fuck as usual. We are live for one of my Get Ready With Me video with Stephanie Sue. We are continuing the true crime story that I started the last time about, yeah, the Squid Game thing. The first part was absolutely heartbreaking. The second part is very, very short, so I might do reaction instead of one. Well, I mean, two video instead of one. We will see, but for now, let's continue this terrible story that inspired,
Bada
what's the
bing, bada
name
boom.
again? Oh yeah, Squid Game. Rodrigo, what are you crying about? Why what? You're so annoying. Whenever you see me without makeup, you freak out. I swear to God. There's nothing I can do for you if you don't know what a woman looks like without makeup. I can't help you. That's between you and your maker.
It is one of the biggest churches in the city of Busan in South Korea. Only nobody really knows it exists. It's in the middle of the woods. You have to be invited in to join the church, but it's also not a cult. This is not a cult story. The church has the capacity to seat 3,500 people, give or take. Sometimes it's 4,000. There are just what feels like an endless row upon row
We
upon
never
row
agreed
of rock-hard
because
church
this is my
pews.
channel.
Every church member is forced to sit on for hours every single Sunday. The pews, the chairs, they're at a firm 90-degree angle, and because attendance is so high, you're arm to arm. In the summer, it feels like you and the person next to you are gonna fuse together in the flesh because the sweat, the moistness, just touching each other for hours at a time. Winter is not as bad, but every single Sunday, the inevitable moment comes, like every Sunday, the red sack people. The Pastor Lim at the podium, will ask the red sack members to come
You
up.
get over it.
It looks like a row of red floating balls
I don't know what you're saying.
that just
shit.
float onto the stage. But they're people. They're wearing red burlap sacks with ugly paint on the front. And the ugly paint reads, "I am a sinner who has gone against God's word." Everyone in the church holds their breath as the pastor approaches the red sack people. His eyes look soft. They look sympathetic. He puts his hands on their heads and they bow down. The pastor closes his eyes. "In the
He's
name
probably
of
gonna come
Jesus,
eventually.
you are being punished." Then he moves to the next one. "In the name of Jesus, you are being punished." And then the next, one by one, he does this to all of them. "In the name of Jesus, you're being punished. In the name of Jesus, you're being punished." And then he turns around. The pastor does. And when he turns back to face the row of red sack wearing people, he has put on a pair of boxing gloves. And bam, he just starts pummeling them one by one to the ground. None of the thousands of people in this church look away. They're not allowed to. Their eyes are glued to the front. None of them stop the pastor. None of them scream. None of them shout. None of them do anything until these red sacks at the front are laying down horizontal on the ground, and now they're oozing red liquid. They're dead.
He
Really.
punished
what?
them to death?
A lot of them get beaten to death. The church members think, well, they're lucky if they're dead. You know, if they're
Jesus.
dead, their bodies will be dragged off, probably to be sold. If not, they're going to repeat this again next week. This is not a cult. This is the Brothers' Home, a government-funded camp to cleanse the humans of South Korea for the Olympics.
Always have to fucking stop this music for copyright. More depressing story. You know how this works, bro. I do my makeup while reacting to true crime story, like
We would
all
like
the
to
girly
thank today's
pop.
sponsors who have made it possible for
Oh, shit.
Rotten Mango to directly support a survivor of today's episode. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. With that being said, today's case involves mentions of internment, essay, trafficking, and torture. please take a break if it gets to be too much. This case is on the heavier side.
Just
But I
like the
also
last
think it's very
time.
important. Another thing to note is that this is something that happens all across the world, like I said in the previous episode. And South Korea at the time that this took place was not a democracy. It was run by a dictator. So hopefully massive changes have been made. And additionally, our amazing Korean researchers and translators were actually able to travel to some of the survivors involved in today's case, conduct in-person interviews. They translated the survivor's book, The Surviving Child, written by Han Jung-sun. He's a huge part of the case. I'm going to refer to him as Han. Additionally, this is a 3-part case. If you haven't watched part 1, please go watch that first. I'm going to link it because none of this is going to make sense. In part 1, we go through the torture games that were held at the Brothers Home Welfare Center, how they compare to Squid Games. And in this episode, we're going to go through what they do to the dead bodies, as well as the saltwater food torture and what happens when you escape. In part 3, we will go in depth on the wealthy benefactors of this facility. So with that being said, let's get started. In season 2 of Netflix's Squid Games, the main
Not more
character,
spoilers.
He just survived Squid
I haven't
Games.
seen it yet. I don't want to know what happens in season 2.
Penny that he had just won and even losing his own life. The National Assembly building in South Korea is this massive stone structure. But the legislators, they show up, so do the administrative staff, personnel, researchers. They show up to work, and outside is usually a row of people, protesters. But this time is different, because a lot of people will protest different things at the National Assembly, but this group, they've been very serious. They've been here, living here for 3 years, living outside the National Assembly in tents. Sometimes they walk, sometimes they just hold a sign with tears streaming down their face. Sometimes they fast, and people have to beg them to eat because they're becoming emaciated. This time, they're sitting next to each other one by one, and they're all looking stoic. They're not saying anything. Their eyes look like they're about to start crying. Some of them are already crying. There's just tears dropping everywhere. And they're all shaving their heads to get attention.
How many people in that group?
It's like a row of 10 almost. These are the victims of the Brothers Home. They have been protesting for 3-something plus years. I mean, it's a long time. And it all started with one man, the man who wrote the book, Han. He tells the legislators, "I am a child who survived hell. You know, it's easy to go from human to beast, but very hard to return from beast to human." Which is why after he escaped Brothers Home, he wanted to kill people. He admits he thought becoming a serial killer was the only way that he could escape Brothers Home. He says, like a psychopath, after I left, I just wanted to kill everyone around me. I felt like it was the only way to get everyone to listen to my story. But then I thought, what about everybody else? Everybody already hates us. We were labeled as vagrants. People saw us as less than human even after we got out of Brothers Home. Why give them more reason to look down on us? So he said, I'll give it one shot. I will go to the National Assembly and I will protest and see what happens. Escaping the Brothers Home compound is nearly impossible. In part 1, we talked about how the walls are 30 feet tall. I mean, even if you somehow manage to Spider-Man climb the structure, they put, in certain parts of the wall, glass shards on top. One attempted escapee, Lee, he says he made it up the wall. He climbed it. And when he reached the top, he had cut up his hands and legs so badly he was caught. He says, I was dripping in blood. I couldn't walk, so I was dragged across the concrete, leaving these blood stains, sent back to the office. I was beaten by the guards. Everybody took turns hitting me. I was beat probably 100 times in that moment. Then he was taken to the church to repent for his sins. He had to put on that red sack. And from there, the pastor would pummel him in front of everyone to show everybody, this is exactly what happens when you try to escape from Brothers Home.
The pastor, is that the same guy as the head dude in charge, or it's a...
No, different guy.
But he's another top person.
They're a family.
Oh,
in the
what?
end of part 1, 12-year-old Jung, do you remember him? His dad is the toilet paper salesman.
Yes.
He's trapped in Brothers Home for 2 years, and the only thing keeping him alive is the thought that his dad is going to come and save him. Years later, his dad shows up at Brothers Home, but instead of being there to take him out, rescue him, Jung's dad is standing there wearing a blue tracksuit. It's very interesting because Squid Game, even the actual show, has a lot of interesting components, like the fact that there's so many familial dynamics at play in season 2. I would say these are not really spoilers because season 2 is connected to season 3, so we don't really know what happens even. But if you're adverse to any type of spoiler, please be warned. So, for example, in the new
Oh
round of Squid
no,
Games,
Warren, more Squid Game reference.
I recognized his face. These things aren't human. They're just trash. They have no purpose in this world. That's what I kept telling myself for years. And I worked hard. And one day, the game makers, they gave me a gun. I liked the way it felt. It was like somebody had finally acknowledged my existence.
More Squid Game reference.
And also, I guess maybe just draped a blue tracksuit on top of a thin wire hanger. He can't even fit the smallest size. Jung says he looked terrible, just skin and bones. It's a complicated feeling. Are you happy to see the person that you have been praying to see for years? Or do you feel sad and miserable and depressed that they're going to share the same fate as you and that nobody can save either of you? Jung says it's even more complicated because you have this weird shame component. He says, I didn't even want to meet my dad's eyes in there because I thought, wouldn't my father be ashamed to see me right now? It just was such a strange feeling. A few days pass since Jung first sees his dad. Anytime all the prisoners are gathered in the courtyard, he keeps his head down so his dad doesn't see him. And then one day he hears a familiar voice. Jung, are you eating well? It's his dad.
So he recognized him
nervously, and he's just glancing from side to side.
Oh,
and
shit.
Finally, he reaches into his pocket and pushes a package into Jung's hands. It's a rice cake. It's a hardened rice cake. During the holidays, each prisoner receives one rice cake. It's just a small square of rice cake. He had been carrying the rice cake for days, not knowing when he would run into his son.
Wow.
He starved so that his son could get an extra bite.
Oh my God.
Jung breaks down when he's telling interviewers about this moment later on because he said, I was 14 at the time. I was so hungry. I ate the rice cake. I ate it all as soon as I got it. But afterwards, I just thought, I'm so immature. I mean, thinking about it now, how my father must have felt when he saw me, when he met me from his perspective, what he did to give me that rice cake, seeing me there. I mean, I think I was just too immature. Turns out, after Jung disappeared, Jung's dad spent a year searching for him, going everywhere, going to all the train stations, trying to figure out where the hell is my 12-year-old son. He would never run away like the police are claiming. So something's not right here. Also, the police, they're not telling him that his son has been taken into brother's home. They're just saying, I don't know. Maybe he ran away. Who cares about your son?
I mean, police
Are the one that took him in.
Yeah, they're the one that kidnapped.
They don't even tell him. Because they get bonus points from the government. This is just going to cause more trouble. So they don't like it. They don't want to tell him.
Crazy. So they kidnap the kids, and then the parents come in saying, oh, my kid is missing. And they're saying, oh, okay.
We don't know what happened.
Meanwhile, they're the one that took them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jung's dad spends a year searching for him. No help, no hope from the police or neighbors. So he resorts to trying to drown out his sorrows in alcohol. One day, Jung Sr. gets so upset that he's drinking. I mean, sure, he's not the mayor of Busan, but he's thinking my son was a straight-A student. He meant something to the world. He could have been someone. He meant something to me. Isn't that all that matters? But the police, who are they? You know, they're here to serve the people, and they're treating him like dog poop stuck on their shoe. He walks over to the police station, not to start a fight or to be violent, just to protest, a one-man protest. Just help me find my son. Where is my son? You must help me. The police take one look at him. And they smell the alcohol in his breath.
Oh boy.
And they think, what a vagrant. Take him in.
Wow. He walked into a police station.
Yeah.
Wow.
To find his son.
Jung was in there since he was 12 till he was nearly 15. He says, I strongly resisted the essays at the time that were happening every single night to others. But because of that, I was beaten even more. It's a different humiliation that's different from just being beat. Even now, the shock is too much. I just knew I had to escape that hell. He's out in the courtyard one day, and his eyes are glazed over, just trying not to get burnt by the sun, which is really hard. Okay, so they're saying in the summers, even in the winters, it's really difficult because if you listen to part 1, they're only allowed to wash their face with coarse salt grains. It rips your flesh. It makes it raw in the sun. And then you're getting punched in the face by these guards every day. And now you have no moisturizer, nothing. You're just in the glare of the sun. He's squinting and he looks up and his heart starts pounding. He notices all the guards are busy. And there's been this one building he's always looked at, because if you were to get to the roof of that building, it's tall enough that you could potentially jump onto the ledge of the wall that's blocking them.
Bro, this
Like the
place
30
is
feet wall?
massive.
Yes. If you climb to the top of that building, the gap between the wall and that building are not that much, and it's about the same height, the roof and the upper ledge of the wall. So he takes the chance. He says, I ran like lightning to the building's roof. He jumps from the roof, knowing that he could very well land on the floor and die, or worse, survive only to be beaten to death, okay? But he jumps, lands on the ledge of the wall, scrapes himself from all the blood. He drops down from the wall on the other side. It's not nearly as high because it's built on a hill. He jumps down and just starts booking it. There's no looking back. He's sprinting through the woods, scraping his face. He can't even keep his eyes fully open because the branches are slamming into him and he doesn't want to slow down. He's just running. The next thing he knows, there's this massive barbed wire fence in front of him. What the hell is this? Some sort of secondary blockade? He doesn't even know how long he's been running. He just starts, without even thinking, climbing up the barbed wired fence, breaking the skin all over his hands, face, body. It's like going through a paper shredder. But he said he didn't even feel pain in the moment. The only thought being, I have to escape this hell no matter what. There is no other way. I have to escape this hell. He drops down on the other side. He made it. This is freedom. He made it past the walls.
Okay.
And then click. It's the sound of a gun right behind him. Put your hands up and don't move. He raises his bloody hands in the air and turns around. It's a uniformed man holding a gun up to him. He's not wearing a blue tracksuit. He's wearing a military outfit. A soldier. Jung had been so desperate, honestly, nobody knows how long he ran for. He doesn't even remember. But he ran for so long, he ran directly into a military base. Sneaking into a military base, to him, still can't be worse than being stuck at brother's home, right? I mean, that's what he thinks. He begs them to save him because all the other people that make it past the walls, if you're wearing the blue tracksuit, you're just brought immediately back in. You're seen almost like an escaped prisoner. And he begs the soldiers to save him, or better yet, don't save me. Don't do anything. Just let me go. I won't tell anyone. The soldiers load him up to a car, and he's just begging, please, sir, help me. Please, sir, help me. The door to the soldier's car opens. They throw him out, and then they throw something into his hands. It's a big loaf of bread. He's just standing on the road, on the street. He's not back at brother's home. He's free. With that, the car just drives off.
Weird.
Wow. So they kind of saved him?
Yeah,
What, they
did.
told you what, a
They
homeless
could have
person?
sent him back. I don't think that they knew anything of the true torture of what was going on at brother's home, but they had a lot more mercy than the guards at brother's home, clearly. They just thought if this guy doesn't want to go back that much, that he's begging and crying and willing to climb over a barbed wire fence, maybe he doesn't want to go back. It's an even more complicated feeling, though, because at first Jung said it feels very surreal. He escaped. He's free. But then he starts panicking. His dad is still there. But he also starts panicking more because he realizes, what is he going to do? Call the cops and tell them that his dad is in brother's home? It's not like he can tell the police. The police are the one that took them in. There's nobody that he can trust. He was only ever taught, ever since he was a little kid, hey, when you're in danger, report it to the police station and ask the police for help. Now what? Jung decides if he's going to get his dad out, he still has to try and survive until then. He finds, ironically, a newspaper distribution center. He starts working there, sleeping there, eating there, and then one day the cops barge in and they take him in. They arrest him.
For what?
Why?
One of the neighbors reported a vagrant was living at the distribution center.
What?
They arrested him for being a vagrant.
Wait, are
And
they
just
sending
like
him back?
in season 2 of Squid Games, just like Ki-hoon, the main character, when Jung opens his eyes, he's back in a blue tracksuit in a bunk bed at the brother's home.
And no fucking way.
You are kidding me.
Yeah.
How long was he out?
A few months. But he's a lot more bloodier now from all the beatings from running away. He said in that moment, he realized, I'm never going to get out of here. I'm never going to get out of here, at least alive.
That's crazy.
Another survivor says, as you keep getting beaten up, you just give up. The end of all this waiting, you think you're waiting to escape. The end of all of it is just death. There's nothing to wait for except the day that you die. Nobody's coming to save you.
Wait, so this was, okay, they started this whole initiative for the Olympic, right?
It was prior to the Olympics, but they amped it up and the government started pouring more money into these welfare centers prior to the Olympics. But the initiative started years before.
Years before.
Yes.
So meanwhile, when this happened, like it's what like 3 years into this.
Yes.
Has the Olympics started yet or after? Like
It's after. I mean, even after, they're still taking people.
Oh, so now it's like they don't need
And?
to like put on anything for the tourism. They're still taking people from the streets.
I don't go out.
Okay.
Han and his older sister, the one who wrote the book, Han, they're dragged to the police station by their dad. Their dad's always been very irresponsible when he's drunk, but it never was like this bad. There were beatings here and there, but this felt very different. He drags them to the police station. Stay here, Dad will be back. In theory, this is the best place for their dad to leave them. In reality, this is the worst place for their dad to leave them.
Oh boy.
Because remember, the police are the ones taking them in. Han is 9. He says, my dad told us to wait at the police station for him. He promised he would come back and get us. The police don't care.
Why did the dad left him there?
It's unclear if he was trying to abandon his kids.
Oh wow.
Because it was too much responsibility, or whether he was in some sort of trouble and he wouldn't be home for a few days, and it'd be better to leave his kids at a police station than to leave them alone.
So the father doesn't know.
He has no clue that Brother's home is a torturous place, or that they're even going to get sent to Brother's home. He thinks they're going to be there when he gets back.
Okay. Wow.
About what kind right rum to go crazy? Fucking flu got my ass. Word part says I can't drink because of medication. Sir, that's a you problem. Plus, you're so young. Maybe you need to learn how to drink properly.
Yeah, the Korean police stations are a little bit different. So in Korea, there's even things like police boxes. It's like a little box. Police officers are stationed in neighborhoods, and they're part of the community. You don't really see them as like a cop.
Yeah, like a security. You can talk to them.
So it's a little more communal. And he thought, okay, they'll be here when I get back if I do decide to come back for them.
Wow.
The police don't care. They throw the two, Han and his sister, into the back of the refrigerated windowless van. They drive them to Brother's home.
Wait, so Han has a sister, older or younger?
Older sister. She's 12, he's 9.
Okay.
And in the van, Han says, I started crying. I was asking to be let out and to be able to go home. For a moment, I remember the sky turning completely white. I heard a noise like cicadas were embedded, stuck inside my ears. And then the stars were going around my eyes. And then once that gradually faded, I realized that man just slapped me so hard, I almost lost consciousness.
Jesus.
I looked around the van. Only then did I realize there were about 5 other kids our age in the car, besides the strange men. And that's how I ended up at Brother's home. Han, just like the others, he has to go through all the survival games, which consist of very creative ways to just torture everyone in blue tracksuits. The guards just torture thousands of people. And like I said, some of them are as young as 4. Some of them are elderly people. The torture is non-discriminatory. Everybody's getting tortured. And the torture doesn't even end with the twisted activities. This whole place is almost manufactured to make every aspect of the day feel like walking on glass shards that have been heated to be 100 degrees. There are 2 time slots for food for the day. Designated time slots. There is exactly 30 minutes to eat, which sounds like more than enough time until you realize there's 3,500 people who have 30 minutes to eat. Everyone only has about 3.5 minutes to grab their food, sit down, inhale it before getting up for the next people to sit down. You always hear, first X number of people, go, go, go. People are getting smacked and beaten up if they're not eating fast enough. The first few meal times are said to be the hardest because it's hard to even swallow the food that they're giving you, let alone do it in 3.5 minutes, just shoveling it in.
Wait a minute. What are you saying? You got a lot of attitude. I like that. I always have attitude. Also, yawn. Don't talk about it. I don't know how I unfollowed. Yeah, I was about to say that. Damn, I thought we was friends. What you read about true crime while Hennessy is doing ready with me? Exactly. I do that once in a while. I haven't done that in a while, so I decided to bring it back. Hi, boo.
You would spend at least the greater chunk
No,
of that time just yapping. The food is almost always the same. It's rotten rice. So the rice, they leave it in these damp containers and they become moldy, and there's those rice bugs everywhere. They don't rinse the rice. They don't get rid of the bugs. They just steam it just like that. Fermented fish, but the fish is always rotten and it's fermented without seasonings. There's fermented cabbage, but there's no red pepper flakes to make the kimchi, so it's just salt sprinkled kimchi, diced radish kimchi. There would be some soup on some days, but it would just be water with nasty oil floating around and then little radishes just floating around. It is not only a nutritionless meal, every single ingredient is moldy, spoiled, and to the point that it was almost decaying. And they just slop it all together in water, cook it into a fermented rotten stew, and serve it with rotten, molded, unwashed rice steamed to food poisoning perfection. Even if you can stand the taste and digestion of the decaying food, there's still not enough food given to you to fill your stomach. Everyone in there is starving at all times of the day. Everybody is malnourished. And that's when you find out things that you never really think you would ever find out. Han says he has a lot of knowledge that most people probably don't have. For example, if you eat too many pine cones or pine needles, you get diarrhea and you're going to vomit for days. He says, well, you can pick the pine cones, peel off the outer layer with your teeth, and then chew on the white part inside, kind of like an artichoke. You can't really swallow it, but you can at least feel like you're eating something. Or if you have the chance, you can catch and eat centipedes.
Oh, Jesus.
It will feel like the most nutrient-dense meal at the brothers' home. It's hard to say which part of that is worse. Is it the torture games? Is it the food? Or is it that non-stop itch that you feel on every part of your body that makes you want to scrape your skin off, but you can't because the minute that your skin breaks, there's just pus oozing out. Almost every single person in brothers' home has a severe skin disease. Most of them have severe eczema and their skin is just raw. It's throbbing. It feels like there's a heartbeat under every part of their skin. Every single day, without fail, regardless, it feels like their skin is about to slop off. They're forced to scrub themselves on this sensitive skin with coarse salt. During the winter, the ice cold water combined with the salt is so unbearable, everyone avoids washing at all. Han writes in his book, many of us had skin diseases because we also shared blankets. And, hygiene was poor. Everybody's skin was always leaking pus and blood.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's now being rubbed all over everybody else under the blankets in the shared bunks. And at night when you think, okay, maybe I'm getting used to the itch of this eczema itch and having these dry, open, raw wounds scraped with salt, just when you think you're used to it. At night, there's you hear a lot of smacking sounds in brothers' home. At night, they're light smacking sounds because you can't be too loud. A slap helps more than a scratch. Maybe it's in your head because you think the lice are dying from each smack. It's the intense, inescapable itch of pubic lice. Even if you think the itch is bearable, it's the type of crawling sensation down there that makes you feel like there are 1,000 little bugs crawling over you. It feels like they're trying to crawl inside of you.
That's a thing?
Lice. The only chance of getting rid of the lice is once a week, you get a hot water bath for 2 seconds, and it's the only time to try and get rid of all the foreign friends. It also doesn't help that you only have 2 pairs of clothes, the 2 blue tracksuits, which, by the way, they're so crazy about everyone being uniform. A lot of people say it felt like North Korea in there because it doesn't even make sense why the uniformity was so important.
Yeah.
Even if the zipper is broken and can't be zipped up, if the uniform requires it to be zipped up, you have to find a way to get it to stay closed. Otherwise, you will be beaten to death. 600 people died in here, at least. Han says it doesn't matter. If your pants the waistband stretches out, you have to find a way to tie it with no supplies. Because, your pants falling down, sure, in front of 4,000 people, it's a little embarrassing, but you're gonna get beaten. Everyone's fingernails look like they've been gnawed off by rats. They're always trimmed incredibly short. There are only 5 nail clippers for the whole place. But if you have long nails, you get beat. So everybody just chews off their nails.
Right.
Whoa.
But there's no money in the torture itself, because that's what doesn't make sense. Who is funding the brothers' home? Why does it exist? Mm-hmm. So if the government funds brothers' home and every quote-unquote vagrant that gets brought in, there's government subsidies. Mm-hmm. The people who run brothers' home, they get paid per person per day. Mm-hmm. But that's not where the real money is. So a few years ago, there was a story that a good chunk of the prison population in China don't have fingernails.
You're talking about today?
Yes.
Oh.
You know, it's like a whole thing. Everyone's like, where are their fingernails going? Are they chewing them off? Are they being ripped off? Like, why don't they have fingernails? Are there certain conditions inside the prisons where their fingernails just fall off? What's going on? They do some investigating. And a lot of the American consumption of pre-peeled garlic is peeled in Chinese prisons. So a lot of these people, they would say, you try to, because you have to meet a quota every
what?
single month. You have to peel enough garlic slices. And garlic has certain compounds where if you keep peeling them, your fingernails pop off.
Whoa, okay.
And it's not just China, but incarcerated workers produce over $2 billion worth of goods annually. Even in the US, about 2/3 of the prison population work. And a lot of them, for some weird reason, are in the food industry. The prison complex and the agricultural business are like hand in hand.
That's crazy.
So they're working, you're saying?
So modern slavery.
And they're getting paid like 20 cents a day.
Modern
Are
slavery.
you're talking about Brothers Home? Or
Yes, everywhere. So in US prisons, they're working. In prisons across the world, they're working. And then in Brothers Home is this crazy trickle of money. The facility gets paid by the government just for housing the vagrants. But Brothers Home is like, why don't we make more money? Because what are they doing all day, these people that we have laying around? Let's have them work. Toys, children's toys, stationery, baby shoes, toothpicks. That's what they're making. Never-ending cycle. One survivor says, if the overall production target wasn't met, they would stop all the work. They would send the workers out into the field and they would beat us one by one mercilessly with these giant pliers and hammers on the inner thighs. Your inner thighs would be all bruised, and my only thought at work was, I must not get hit. The worst part was a lot of the kids worked in fishing hook factories. They have to make fishing hooks.
so these factories, is that what those 60 buildings
Yes.
are? Just different factories?
Different
makes sense.
factories and different warehouses to
I'm
house
wondering
these
why
people.
it's so big. That's crazy.
They have a church on the premises. They have a medical unit, which just consists of they rip you open and pour salt into your wound and rub it around.
Oh my God.
They have a psych ward. The government wants to get paid for these people, but you can't beat them into submission. A lot of them have really lost their minds in there.
진짜 정신병자 아닌 정신병자가 돼 있더라고. 예?
So they just throw them into the psych ward where they drug them nonstop and they just get essayed and abused.
Do you know if this facility is still around today, or they've...
No,
Probably
it has
not.
been replaced by apartment buildings. Yes, because back then Busan was not as, it wasn't that big of a city. I mean, it was, but it wasn't what it is now.
Wow.
Yeah. So the worst for the children, though, is this one factory where you make fishing hooks. They say when you work that quickly making fishing hooks, the hook gets stuck under your fingernails. And the purpose of a fishing hook is not release whatever it's latched onto. So when you work quickly, the hooks get stuck, and when you pull it out, your nail gets pulled out as well. You have to tear the flesh to get them
Oh
out.
gosh.
They say you rip off your own fingernails to get the hooks out because you can't work and produce when you have fishing hooks stuck on each of your nails. There's not even time to think about what you're doing. It's just constant thoughts of, if I don't do this, the beating is going to be worse than this. They keep working faster and faster. One survivor says, the day starts at 5. We make our beds. We have to do that in 5 seconds, very quickly, like the military. If not, you're going to get beaten by the guard the first thing in the morning. Then they do roll call. Then you go outside. Then you do the washroom with just salt. 3 seconds of water, salt for face wash, salt as toothpaste. Then you have to sing the military anthem. And one of the survivors says, I don't understand the point in that. If we were not in sync, we were beat. It just didn't make any sense what the point was. It's not even a real military.
Yeah.
Then they would be sent off to the factories. A survivor states they forced people to work in factories to produce products, and then those products would be sold to the public. The facility pocketed money from the products as well as benefiting from the free labor, as well as getting paid government subsidies. Another survivor states, after all of that, 14 and 15-year-olds were forced to carry sacks that weighed 60 pounds back and forth for construction to happen. All those buildings
Oh, they're building it too, huh?
were built by them.
Bruh.
Whoa,
It was a nightmare.
this
If
is crazy.
the children were unable to keep up, they would get beat. So the kids avoid getting beat. They're forced to work harder. The survival instinct would kick in, and it was astonishingly painful. They were forced to build the wall, even that held them prisoner, the giant 30-foot wall that made it nearly impossible to escape. They were forced to build it. They say to build this wall, you have to carry up stones. One of the adults in front of me became exhausted and sat down for a moment to rest. The guard on site smashed the man's head with a wooden bat, and he died on the spot. Yeah, that was the first death that this survivor witnessed. It wouldn't be the last. But because it was the first, he said he was so consumed with fear he couldn't eat or sleep for the next few days. And in Squid Games, there's this subplot. I'm sure you guys have all watched season 1, and even if you haven't watched season 2, the subplot is continuing. We don't really know how it's going to resolve yet, so I don't know if this is a spoiler, but there is a subplot of the guards, the pink uniform wearing guards in Squid Games. They will take the bodies that they've shot down, the losers of the game, if you will, and they're supposed to shoot them dead. But instead of killing them, they immobilize them. Then they take them into this little bunker where a doctor shows up to try and sell the organs, take out the organs. It's very fascinating, the levels of profit. So the VIP clients, they get their entertainment out of these people dying, out of watching them kill each other for survival and for money. That's their entertainment. To the guards that are one step above the contestants, they take advantage of the contestants by, in death, selling their organs and profiting. The same goes for Brothers Home.
Right, that's my question. Why are they so evil? Like,
Yes.
you don't... Yeah, okay.
The facility will continue to profit even if the victims die. One survivor whose sole job was to clean up messes, particularly the messes of people who were escaped, recaptured, and beaten. He says, my job was to clean up after them. But how? How do I clean it up? Wiping away the bloodstains, cleaning up the aftermath? I mean, I saw people all laying there on the floor with their eyes wide open. They were dead. The total number of people that died is said to be around 551, but it's likely that the numbers are far higher than that. One survivor says, there are so many graves there. If you look behind the church where the weeds grow thick, some days you would see mounds being made, just so many. There's like a bathhouse there. Right in front of it is this incinerator. A lot of bones would come out of that incinerator. I remember a man named Kim. He was quite old at the time. This is a direct quote. He was carried into a secret guidance room. That's what they called it. That's where they would beat us into guidance, to listening to the guards better, not trying to escape. He was forced into that room and carried out. I watched. He was dead. He died from beating, but I was told everyone would just report it as some sort of natural illness as his cause of death, and that sometimes, if the beating scars aren't that bad, they would sell them for medical studies. They would body farm. They would sell the bodies.
Just like Squid Game.
Yes. One survivor states, yeah, I mean, if the bodies weren't needed, the guards would carry it up to the church at dawn and to the mass graves. One victim states, people were starved, beaten, and killed, and their deaths were never reported. They just buried them or sold them. All the kids are freezing. That's like a huge thing. All the survivors mention over and over again, you don't understand the winters in this place. You don't understand how cold it gets when there's snow falling everywhere and you're shivering to the bone. Your lips are constantly bleeding because you're so dry. It is miserable. Some people had frostbitten toes that had to be amputated. And then what do they do after they amputate it? They just rub salt on it. They said it's that bad. Underneath the facility, there's this little warehouse, storage room, and it's filled to the brim with clothes.
Like uniforms? Or,
Better clothes.
They're making?
No.
Oh.
Okay, so remember how I said this is not a cult story? So why do they have this giant church? Is it just because one of the leaders, like one of the facility owners, is religious? No, because religion is used to reel in donations for Brothers Home. From the outside, Brothers Home is a very legitimate welfare center. They're actually the biggest welfare center that is funded by the government. And now they're going to ask for donations from people around the world. The director of Brothers Home was smart. He did not care for Jesus, not even one bit. He's not a religious man. But Survivor said they used religion to add more money to their business. If there's no religion involved in their center, who would donate money? It's a government-funded facility. But you tell people, I'm Christian. I'm a Christian doing good things. I need donation money. Donation money from foreigners would flood in. They would donate just cases of clothes. And the kids were forced to write thank you notes to all the donors because you need it in childish handwriting.
This is crazy.
Sometimes they would have American donors stop by that work with like adoption agencies in America or even big churches in America. They would fly to Korea to visit Brother's home. And everyone would prepare for months. The kids would put on plays. They would dance around. They'd be forced to do all these things. And then once they leave, they have to give everything back. The basement would be filled with those donated clothes and they would sell them. Another layer of profit, sold to local clothing stores. This one odd time, a bunch of donors donated a bunch of cattle to be used for consumption. And Han said they took the cow and paraded it around the field, taking pictures with all of us, smiling with the cow, and showed it off. And everybody was so happy, thinking we would get beef bone soup or something the next day. And the next day, it was just rotten oil broth. No beef. They took the cows to the market to be sold. But the worst part for 9-year-old Han is not even the fact that he's not drinking beef bone soup. It's the fact that he was taken with his 12-year-old sister, and his older sister keeps trying to escape with him. Every single time she stands in the field, she would sprint towards him, ready to escape with him. But she has no plan. She has no plan. She would just try to grab his hand and say, I'm going to protect you. Let's go. We're going to go home. And every time she would get slammed down onto the ground and beaten in front of Han. He says the beatings, torture, and punishments, it wouldn't stop her from getting to me. Han says about his sister, my older sister was especially smart. So our researchers actually met Han and his older sister. They left like a video message for us as well, but he says his older sister is especially smart and capable, which our researchers actually noted, and we'll talk about that in part 3. She's like the only blood relative that taught Han anything, because they're poor village kids. He doesn't know how to write. She would teach him. And then on their way home one day, this is when they were free, he saw this 달고나 cart. It's just all full circle. Okay, he sees this 달고나 cart, the candy cart. And he's like, sister, can I get a 달고나? And she doesn't have money. So she says, you know what? I'm going to go home and I'm going to make it for you. He says, my sister put a ladle on the briquette stove. It was her first time doing this. She poured in sugar, added a little bit of soda, and she was about to complete the 달고나 with the chopsticks when I kept pushing on her and like dragging her shirt saying, can you hurry? I really want 달고나. And she dropped the ladle. It fell all over her foot. She has a severe burn because the sugar crystallizes and it sticks to you all over her foot. He says, I still remember that incident. And when their dad, who both of them thought was very scary, he would come home and ask, Shine, what happened to your foot? And she would quickly respond, I dropped a pot while I was making soup. Don't worry about it. Han says his sister was always somebody that protected him. And even now, she keeps trying to protect him by having them escape. But all that's happening is she keeps getting beat over and over again. She would run to him in the cafeteria trying to hug him. Father's going to come find us, okay? Don't be scared. Father's going to come find us. He says, you can't imagine how difficult it was to look at each other in that atmosphere of fear. Rather than being a source of support or comfort for each other, it just became more painful. I lived witnessing my sister gradually losing her mind. Okay, so in the book, it's very explicit, but I think he would rather it not be explicit. So Han mentions that people from his sister's platoon would come to him and report back the types of torture that were inflicted on her because she tried to save her brother. And the types of torture, you can imagine what they are, especially being a woman in a facility like this. In some sick, twisted way, some of the kids would even taunt him about it. He said, I lived witnessing my sister gradually losing her mind. First, it was just this panic of, we got to get out of here. I'm going to help us escape. And then slowly, she would start talking to the walls. She would do anything. It doesn't matter. She wouldn't feel her own pain of being beat. When Han got beat on the field, she would run and cover his body with her own. And it would just result in both of them getting beat. And her torture was, both of them were essayed during their time there, but it was just really bad. He says, I lived witnessing my sister gradually losing her mind. If she had been completely out of my sight, I might have forgotten her existence entirely. But because she was next to me for 3 years and 6 months, I witnessed everything and I can't forget it.
That's crazy.
Every time his sister would be in the field, the guards would laugh. The weirdo's coming again. She's starting again. And without fail, when Han would look, it would be his sister running towards him, trying to help him escape. And the guards that were laughing, 2 seconds ago, suddenly they yank her down by the hair as she rushes towards him, throws her onto the ground, and drags her away forcibly to torture her. Eventually, she was taken to the psych ward where Han would climb the window just to see her. There was a few platoon leaders that he liked, like the guards, where they were tall and they would let him climb on top of their shoulders to see in through the window just to see his sister.
Some people have human heart in there.
If she sees my face, she'll get better and she won't lose her mind and she'll realize, okay, I gotta get out of here strong. But when he looks into the room, she doesn't even recognize him because
all the medication.
She is not there. They have her on they have her on antipsychotics that she does not need, on high doses every single day. She's in a daze. She just has a glaze. It's like they're zombies. That's how they describe them. He says, every time I went to check on my sister to see if she was ever getting better, she was always laying down with her hands tied. There was nothing I could do for my sister. All I could do every day was pray that my father would come and save us. He says his biggest regret was before she was taken to the psych ward, one of the leaders was beating his sister, the guard, and they told Han, I'm not going to stop until you repeat after me. Don't come find me, you stupid. And they would make Han repeat it over and over again because he wasn't saying it with conviction, obviously. And he's just crying as he's screaming at his sister, and she's on the ground and she still tries to come save him the next day.
Oh my
Then
God.
one day, Han hears
Jesus
a voice
Christ.
that he recognizes behind him. Have you been well? And he freezes.
That's his dad?
He can't even turn around. How's your sister doing?
Who's
It's
that?
his dad.
Yeah, okay, that's his dad, yeah.
He's in a tracksuit too?
Just like Jung's dad, Han's dad is in a suit, a tracksuit. Han writes in his book, I tasted despair. I hated my father to death because he dropped them off at the police station.
Yeah.
And he was never particularly the best father even prior. He said the thought that I could never escape this place now tormented me. And now this man is wondering, how's your sister doing? Han scoffs. She's gone. She's no longer there. Seeing his dad, Han said he just had this overwhelming feeling. And these were the words that kept repeating in his mind while he was in the welfare center, which is, with a knife, with a knife. He didn't know what it meant. It was just always with a knife. I'm gonna do it with a knife, with a knife. The next time Han would ever see his dad outside of Brother's home, he would have a knife in his pocket, ready to kill him. That is part 2 of Squid Games, the real story behind Squid Games. Part 3, we will tell you what happened to Han and Han's sister, Han's dad, as well as all the other victims who were outside of the National Assembly, and also the family who does not get punished and are in Australia living as millionaires. So stay tuned for part 3. Leave your thoughts in the comments and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.
That's crazy. But I don't think I want to watch part 3. That's... Teacher made... Yeah, this one is only 50... Yo, I'm almost done already. I don't know. Oof. 45 minutes. There you go. Short and sweet.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Well, not sweet. Because
3
it's
months
fucking true
ago,
crime.
a very interesting question pops up on the subreddit, Relationship Advice. It's where people go to ask strangers on the internet for advice for their relationship. It's a 29-year-old man, and he writes, I don't really have anyone else to talk to about this. This was the final option. I made a Reddit account. I was browsing through Reddit to see if anybody else had any sort of relationship trouble that was similar to mine, but I can't find anything. So I've hit rock bottom and I'm gonna write this post. I have been in a very serious relationship with my 28-year-old girlfriend for a little over a year. I'm gonna refer to her as Jay. We have a lot of mutual friends, so I can't even ask a friend about this. Not that I think that they can even help me regardless. I feel like they'll just see her differently and treat her differently. Anyway, my girlfriend and I have been looking into moving in together. Things have been getting really serious, and we talked about how to even split the finances and all that good adult stuff. I've been really excited about this new chapter with my girlfriend. I even started casually looking at rings a couple of months ago because honestly, I feel like she's the one for me. She's smart, beautiful, funny, loved by nearly everyone that she meets, and just overall the best person that I've ever met. Now on to the issue. About 2 weeks ago, I started spending the weekend at her place. We usually alternate weekends at one another's apartment, and I ended up catching some stomach bug on Sunday, so I took a sick day off work on Monday, and Jay, my girlfriend, offered for me to stay at her apartment since I didn't feel good enough to drive home, and she was really sweet about it. She offered to make me soup when she got off work. I mean, she works 10 to 6. So I was mostly alone during the day, mostly sleeping and spending time in the bathroom throwing up. OP, the poster, ends up throwing up in her bathroom floor. He doesn't make it to the toilet. There's vomit everywhere, and he's looking for a way to clean this up, trying to find her linen closet. He finds some rags that look like you would use them to clean. Down the very top shelf, he's feeling weak, he's feeling frustrated, he doesn't have a ladder, he doesn't know where anything is. So he just kind of jumps and yanks them down, and a bunch of other stuff come falling down too, including this very small shoebox. He says, I mean, I really don't like going through her things when she's not around because we really value and respect each other's privacy. I completely trust her. But as I was cleaning up everything that fell out of the shoebox, I happened to notice something really odd, and I just couldn't help but be a little nosy. It was an envelope addressed to her, and the return address was a prison in another state. As I looked at the other stuff in the shoebox, I found way more envelopes just like it, as well as some drawings. I mean, I will admit, in a moment of weakness, I could not help myself. I had to see what was going on. This is where I feel the need to explain that I found it so odd because my girlfriend has told me everything about her past, her family, her childhood. I can name every single pet that she's ever had. I've met her parents, both of her siblings, and quite a few of our other family members, and not once, at least anyone that she knows, not once did she tell me she knows anyone in prison, or that she's communicating with anyone in prison. So as it turns out, these letters dated way back before we even started dating, and the most recent one was from 3 months ago. Obviously, I didn't see the ones she sent because they're in the prison, but the ones she received are all very affectionate, for lack of a better term, like something long-distance lovers would write to each other. I know Jay has an interest in true crime. She watches the documentaries, listens to the podcast, and nothing too unusual though, but I recognized the guy's name pretty quickly, and knowing what he did and finding out that my girlfriend, who I adore and love so deeply, actually talks to him in this way is really fucking with my head. I don't know if naming him violates some kind of rules, but let's just say his case was huge, fairly recent, like within the last 5 years. He very brutally killed his pregnant wife and 2 kids, and he even confessed, for fuck's sake. I ended up reading through about 3 or 4 of the letters until they literally made me sick. Then I put everything back just the way I found it, cleaned up the mess in the bathroom, and drove myself home. I texted her some made-up excuse that I was feeling better, and I just wanted to sleep in my own bed so that I could go to work the next day. I mean, I want to talk to her about it, but I just don't know. I still love her deeply. I miss her every hour of every day, and I've been sleeping like I'm super distracted throughout the day. I'm trying to figure out how to handle this. I still love her deeply, but how do I move past this? Is there a part of this that I'm not considering? To which most netizens are responding, speculating that his girlfriend is writing to Chris Watts, who, side note, if you don't know Chris Watts, he murdered his pregnant wife and their 2 daughters, who were 3 and 4 years old. He smothered his daughters to death and then strangled his pregnant wife. His actions undeniably get worse. He dumps his daughters' bodies into oil tanks. The oil tank openings are only like 8 inches in diameter. He had to shove his children's bodies into the tanks to get them inside. They basically got scalped in the process of this. Then he goes on to do a whole media tour, if you will, pleading for his missing family's safe return until it's revealed Chris Watts was having an affair and he's the one that annihilated his whole family.
This is the one that he was caught like outside of his house?
Yes.
The viral video, right?
Yes. And like side note, he does have this moment where he tries to argue that his wife killed the kids. And in return, he was so upset and distraught that he killed his wife. So if it's true that OP's girlfriend is exchanging affectionate letters with Chris Watts, I mean, most of the comments read along the lines of, it's one thing to watch true crime shows and be intrigued by aspects of how someone could possibly do something so extreme, but to write letters to someone like that?
It's crazy.
Others comment, I mean, it's one thing to be intrigued by extreme human behavior, but craving a connection with such people is alarming. Maybe it's like a surge of adrenaline for her, but in all honesty, I would personally be very worried and think twice about moving in with her.
Yep.
Another one just writes, No way your girlfriend is emotionally cheating on you with Chris Watts and you're thinking of staying with her, crying emoji. Any person who would ever associate with a man like that is very, very messed up. Not only is your girlfriend completely unempathetic to the pregnant wife and children that were murdered, but she's also mind-numbingly stupid to believe any sort of sob story that this murderer is spinning. But it's an interesting thought, is it not? Or more likely a fear that a lot of netizens have, because you never really know who you're dating. Others say, yeah, this is bad, but at least OP caught it early. I mean, sometimes you marry the person and then you realize too late that they're a little bit bizarre and that something bizarre is happening. Some netizens argue, if life is a competition, which it's not, but if it is, at least his girlfriend that he adores did not kill anyone. Because there are other people that wake up one morning and realize the person that they married is the killer. I mean, hypothetically speaking, what do you do if you wake up and your husband is a serial killer, your wife is a serial killer? Seattle went through this very dark period in Washington. For almost 20 years, they had an active serial killer operating in Seattle. Initially, people were terrified. I mean, the residents were terrified for 20 years, but they're also getting so fed up. Why the hell can't the police catch this guy? What's the big deal? You pass by the magazine stand in the grocery store, all the headlines, they're so bleak. This is being described as one of the nastiest homicides in King County record. Bodies of young women found near Green River. What's their connection? Green River killer continues to elude massive task force. It's believed that the Green River serial killer has taken the lives of up to 71 victims.
Jesus.
Is this solved or unsolved?
It's solved.
Oh.
And it's scary, but at least Judith from Seattle feels some semblance of security, considering she lives with her husband, Gary. I mean, he's kind of like an old school gentleman.
Oh, let me
pulls
guess.
out the chairs
He's the killer.
for her. She doesn't even remember the last time that she opened her own car door when he's nearby. This has been her marriage for the past 13 years. Until there's a knock on the door. She opens the door, and it's a swarm of Seattle police. Gary is not who she thinks he is. Gary is the Green River killer.
Wow.
And initially, she did not believe them.
Well, duh.
In fact, for 2 years, she stands by her husband's side because how can he be a sexual sadist? That doesn't even make sense. First of all, their intimate life is very active. I mean, why? I mean, she thinks the police have the wrong guy until he confesses. That's when things slowly start clicking for her. The carpets that he was removing from the home after she had been on a trip, she thought he just wanted to fix up the place. It lines up with the time that he had killed a woman on the carpet and there were blood stains. She remembered at one point he had gotten rid of the bed frame. This is when they were first dating. He had gotten rid of it because he had brought a victim there and killed them and didn't want the blood to be left behind. She says all she could think was, I mean, was my life real with him or did he just use me? He made me smile every day. I had the perfect husband. I had the perfect life, and he was the perfect serial killer. Initially, Judith does not really have anyone to talk to about any of this. The community, they actually feel that Judith must have known to some degree. That's what they're all thinking. I mean, some of them aren't saying it because 13 years, how do you not know? This is the person that's closest to you. You sleep in the same room as them on a daily basis. A lot of people would drive by her house, take her planters, smash them onto the ground. Once, she asked a neighbor to watch her cat for her, which they graciously said, of course we'll watch your cat. She goes back to get the cat back and they slam the door in her face. The words exchanged included something along the lines of, no, you're married to the Green River killer. You can't have your cat back.
What? Like they say yes
Seemingly intentionally to take her cat.
Wow.
It's an interesting perspective in everything that's going on because with all these cases, you have the victims, you have the victims' families, you have the serial killer's families, the detectives, witnesses, the jury, the judge, the prosecutors, defense attorneys, media, and then the serial killer's partners. They're kind of like a forgotten piece of everything. I feel like people care more so about the serial killer's parents, the upbringing, more than they do their current lives.
Yeah, that's true.
A few weeks ago, we received an email. The title being, I was married to a serial killer for 7.5 years. I need help. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the NECMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, as well as the GoFundMe for Labna to help aid in the pursuit of getting her son back. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. A few disclaimers for today's case. We could not get too much information on the new Cairo serial killer. Most sources were in Arabic, and we did have someone that speaks Arabic on the team to assist, but we couldn't do as much of a thorough deep dive like we normally do, considering it felt like for this particular case, time is of the essence. The big issue here being there is a child that has been kidnapped by a serial killer's family. But as always, perhaps more so on this episode, if there's anything that you felt was mistranslated, miscommunicated, or anything additional please leave it in the comments for all of us to read. Labna reached out to us to assist in getting her message out. However, she said she was unable to talk about the case itself or anything that could put her in legal hot water as she's still trying to get her son back. She's also stated that she's been getting death threats from the serial killer's side of the family. She still wishes to get her message out and find her son, but I think she's being smart and rightfully cautious about making comments towards them, about their son, the serial killer, for her own safety. Which brings us to another disclaimer. Nothing I say in this video is a representation of Labna's thoughts or experiences or opinions. I've exchanged a few emails with her, but I'm not privy to any sort of private thoughts or information, so keep that in mind. And with that being said, there are mentions of domestic violence as well as SA, so please watch at your own discretion, take care of yourself, and let's get into it. How much do you really know your husband? I mean, it's the age-old question, right? Darcy Brudos didn't know that her husband had a thing for feet. Okay, if we're being specific, Jerry has a thing for shoes, high-heeled shoes, and women's lingerie. But their marriage is not the type of marriage where they openly talk about things like this. For Darcy's husband, Jerry, maybe he doesn't mention it because it's always been like this for him. It's like mentioning that I have 5 toes on my right foot. It rings true to me, and it's been like that for as long as I can remember, so maybe I wouldn't consider it a big thing to announce to my husband, hey, I have 5 toes on my right foot. Jerry's fascination with high-heeled stilettos is like that. It starts at a really young age. But he blames his family friend. She had fallen asleep at the Jerry Brudos home, the family home. He sneaks in there and sees that she's wearing these high-heeled shoes. And something about the way that her foot arches, the way that her toes are just cramped into those stilettos, it unlocks something in him. He tries to slowly creep up on her and grab the heel of one stiletto and slowly peel it off so that he can steal it while she's asleep. Unsurprisingly, she wakes up.
Wait.
His plan goes down the drain, but it awakens something inside of him.
She's
Instead
sleeping
of
with
stopping,
the shoes on?
he goes and he hides in his first grade teacher's desk
Confusion.
to steal her high-heeled shoes. He fails.
Duh.
But naturally, none of this is mentioned to his wife, Darcy. He also fails to mention how at a young age, in middle school, he would go and steal undergarments from his friend's sisters. He had a thing for sniffing their undies, but that eventually escalates to him putting them on. He would steal them and then model them on himself. Or when Jerry turned 16, he had this lightning bolt strike of creative problem solving. He masterminds this whole plan. He would lure women to his home, trick them typically. When he was alone with them, he would give them a full tour of his bedroom before excusing himself. Let me just grab a water. Let me use the restroom. I'll be right back. But when he comes back into the room, he's changed into a new set of clothes. He's wearing a mask, holding a knife and a camera. He forces the women to strip down while he takes pictures, all whilst, threatening to take their lives if they don't comply. Then when he gets the pictures he wants, he leaves. He takes off the masks, ruffles his hair, changes back into the first pair of clothes he invited the victim over with, runs back into the room. The craziest thing just happened. There was a masked, knife-wielding man that had just broken into the house, tied me up so that they could get pictures of you or something. They left.
That's crazy.
I
Please tell me
fought
this
them off
didn't
and they
work.
left.
This cannot have
It
worked.
worked?
Yeah, I think sometimes it worked. Other times the girls were just too scared to say anything. Sometimes laziness would get the best of Jerry. He would eventually ditch the mask. Home intruder ruse out the window. And then he would just part his hair differently. He would part his hair, walk into the room and be like, I'm Jerry's non-existent brother, Ed. And you better strip down and I'm going to take pictures of you or else. He would even start fondling the victims. Perhaps it's the sheer confidence in how he does it. Some of the victims truly believed that they were essayed not by Jerry, but by his brother Ed. Keep in mind, this is all happening while he's in high school. It only gets worse as he grows up. He begins stalking women, and at first, he would just stalk them to strangle them, to steal their shoes, their stilettos. I mean, the shoes didn't even necessarily have to be on someone. It could be him. He would wear them. In another arrest, he's found in a college dorm wearing jean shorts, women's underwear, and high heels. And then it stops. He marries his wife, Darcy, and he thinks, the past is the past. We're not even interested in that stuff anymore. I love Darcy. Darcy's my wife, okay? They're going to be in love. They're going to have kids, which they do. They do have kids, but they're no longer in love. Not that it matters, considering Jerry Brudos is a serial killer. So with his wife in the same house as Jerry, he would go back to his teenage ways of inviting people into the house, luring them, but now he's killing them. He's strangling them until they're unconscious, essaying their bodies. He's spending sometimes multiple business days to perform acts of necrophilia on the corpses. His favorite thing to do was, remember how he stole underwear and shoes? He had closets. He had so much stolen stilettos and underwear. His favorite pastime was to dress the victims' bodies in those stolen items and then take pictures like they're his personal dolls, solely existing to model his garments. He would obsessively dress and redress the victims over and over and over again. And unfortunately, Jerry was a big souvenir guy. The first victim, he sawed off her foot and kept it in their family freezer in the basement. And he would take it out anytime he wanted a foot model. His second victim, he cut off her breasts to keep as souvenirs. Jesus. But even after he cut off their breasts, he still wanted to play dress up with the corpses. So he would stick paper towels where the breasts used to be and put a bra on to take pictures for his collection. Another victim, he kept her corpse in the garage after essaying and killing her. He had her hanging in the garage on a pulley system so that he could dress her in different outfits and shoes. He would even try to electrocute her to get her to, quote, dance and look alive. Which brings many to the question of how much did Darcy, his wife, actually know about what Jerry was doing? Most of his murders were committed inside the house.
Literally.
She did not go on lengthy business trips or trips with her children while he was killing. So did she hear nothing, see nothing, sense nothing? On one occasion, he even had dinner with his wife and kids while the victim was tied up alive in the basement. The police firmly believe that Darcy knew something. So they arrest her. They bring her in, interrogate her as an accomplice, and they're confronting her. You're telling us that you saw this chopped off breast laying around in the house, and you thought, I thought it was a paperweight.
What?
That you get from like one of those sick antique stores, I guess, because it was encased in resin.
Oh,
he didn't just have like a flesh breast. He had put it into resin to mold it.
Wow.
I mean, it's almost unbelievable. Right? Except that it's true. Darcy had no clue. She had been forbidden from entering the garage, basement, and freezer. After Jerry's arrest, he tried to ask Darcy to get rid of evidence, and she refused. She truly was oblivious to all the signs, like many wives of serial killers.
Damn.
This is just another serial killer from the Green River one?
Yeah. A lot of them have wives that had no clue.
Wow.
And they never kill their wives because, some people argue maybe there's some sort of emotional attachment. It's definitely more of a disguise. I don't think that there's any serial killer that truly cared much for their family members. I don't think that they have the capability to do that.
Yeah.
For Darcy Brudos, the signs were objectively a bit more obvious. But what about the New Cairo serial killer? The guy that they call the Butcher of Egypt?
Jesus. Wait, the butcher is crazy. I mean, the butcher is very explicit, but why does he look like he's about to drop a fire mixtape? Like, this motherfucker looks like he's about to drop a mixtape. That's crazy. Also, I'm done with my makeup. There's only 20 minutes left. Fine.
What are the signs there?
This is the wife who reached out,
yes.
right?
3 bodies, all dumped on this stretch of desert land in Egypt. The Egyptian authorities have a problem. They've got 3 bodies. I mean, they're clearly connected. All 3 women have been murdered. They've been dumped along the desert road. There's evidence that they've been whipped pretty badly. Their necks are all broken, potentially strangulation. There are clear signs of torture wounds. There's and other drugs in each woman's system. I mean, it's pretty much undeniable that they're linked. But other than the same torture wounds, there is nothing else that can help the investigators. All 3 women live in different areas. They don't know each other. They range in age between 19 to 37. What is the connection between these 3 women? Once the bodies are located, news starts spreading. There's a serial killer active in Egypt. Some are calling him the Butcher. There's only been about 4 well-known serial killers from Egypt, and the police have no leads until a father walks into the station. My daughter, she's missing.
Oh no.
Okay, when was the last time you saw her? She told me she was gonna study English with a professor, an English professor, I think. His name is Kareem. He's a famous TikToker.
So this is all happening
And
very
no fucking
recently?
ways that TikTok.
2024, early 2024.
Oh.
Yeah. Kareem's TikTok account was called Hooked on Phonics. It has since been suspended. But Kareem, the police are now investigating, is an English teacher living in Egypt, and his whole TikTok account is to try and teach non-native English speakers English. He would have a harder to pronounce English word on the screen for non-native speakers.
How do you say this word? Exquisite.
Exquisite.
It means very pretty. And this one? Ecstatic.
Ecstatic.
Or you know how sometimes when you learn English in a non-English speaking country, you learn phrases that most native speakers won't use? Like when someone asks you, how are you? The response that a lot of non-native speakers learn is, I'm fine, thank you, and you? But that's rarely ever heard in natural conversations. So he would make these little TikToks saying things like, don't say, I'm sorry. Say, I apologize. Which I'm not sure what the difference is. He would also do these TikToks with his cute son, who's about 9 years old, named Zane, where they would go over all the ways in which you can merge words in English. Instead of saying, give me, you say, and the little son would say, give me that. Instead of saying, want to, you say, I wanna go home.
Like the son is in the video. You can see him.
Yes.
Okay.
Got to.
Gotta. I gotta go.
Out of.
Outa. I'm out of time.
In another TikTok, Kareem, the now suspect, does a little skit. How do I tell a woman you're so beautiful? He's like in a nerdy outfit, and he's asking a cool guy, who is also him, cosplaying as the cool guy. How do I tell a woman you're so beautiful? You're like a dream come true. Your beauty is like a priceless masterpiece. I'm sorry, you're breathtakingly gorgeous. I'm out of breath. You're beautiful, gorgelicious. You look absolutely fantastic. In another one, he says, don't say I'm tired. It's boring. Instead, use these slang terms instead. Exhaustipated. I've never heard that.
Exhaustipated?
Fatigued, pooped. Tie-tie. Bed deprived. ZZZ-ish.
Exhaustipated is
Naptastic,
crazy.
Zonked. Chica-boom bed. Again, I don't know where he's getting any of these. Then he has this moment where his inflection goes down and he says,
Dead. Beat. Wrecked.
How many followers does he have?
660,000.
Wow.
His account has some odd moments like that one, but I would hardly call it odd. I mean, there's nothing alarming or damning on his social media accounts. A lot of people are reposting some old videos with some creepy music, but it's more so hindsight. There's nothing in his videos inherently that's alarming. It's just him teaching questionable slang that I've never heard most English speakers use.
Is he here in the US or he's in Egypt?
He's in Egypt, but he was briefly in the US. He grew up in the US. I believe he might hold US citizenship.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
The police need to find out more about this guy, Kareem, to see if he really is the butcher. Because again, his TikTok presence doesn't really tell them anything. Kareem taught English at a local school, to which some sources say that the coworkers who knew him as the rose guy, the flower, which sounds like a good thing. He would randomly show up to work with a singular rose, hand it to a coworker, his male or female colleagues, it didn't matter, which again kind of sounds inherently sweet if it's not creepy and not HR worthy, like reporting worthy, but the rose usually comes as a form of an apology. If these incidents are true, his co-workers likely hated seeing the damn roses. It's alleged that he would blow up on co-workers over nothing. Truly, it felt like if you looked at the guy strange or you said something that irked him for reasons unknown to you, he would just blow up. And the very next day, he would bring you a singular rose presented to who he verbally assaulted the day before, and they would be forced to forgive him, or they would be seen as the difficult one at work. If these personal accounts are true, it appears Kareem has a whiplash-inducing personality. Some that knew Kareem personally said he's incredibly helpful, to the point that one could call him a generous, elegant man. But you know when someone is too nice to you? But it doesn't feel like genuine.
Yeah.
There's this second layer of ick that hits you, but you can't explain it in correct words. I don't know why, because you just sound like an ungrateful person. No, yeah, they were so nice to me. Of course, they helped me move, but it just feels like they're not doing it with good intentions. But then who are you to complain, because they've helped you? A lot of people said that Kareem appeared to like helping people because that automatically puts him at the top position, the one that is helping and not the one being helped. They say he was born to this financially secure family with a seemingly unsufferable air of superiority to them. It seems like he has this complicated chip on his shoulder, considering he wants to be known as successful, but he wants to be successful on his own. But the reality is, the only thing that makes him successful and special is the fact that his parents are financially okay. Everyone knows that his success depends on his dad, and he knew that everybody knows that. Side note, it's been said by people close to him that he genuinely does not care about his dad, not even in the slightest. He uses his dad like a bank. He calls his dad, "Dad, I need a new iPhone." Magically, a new iPhone would appear, and by this point, this man is 37 years old. Could he really be a serial killer? This little daddy's boy, the butcher of Egypt? It doesn't even sound similar. The authorities track his car, his whereabouts, and interestingly enough, his car shows up at the spots where the bodies are dumped. So it's time to give this guy a visit. The Fifth Settlement is one of the most well-known wealthy areas in Cairo. The detectives are staring at each other. Are you sure this is the right place? Like, this is where Kareem lives? They speak with the landlord, and there are signs. Like what? Okay, for one, he was adamant that he needed a fully soundproofed, encased room. He said that he was always creating music, recording social media videos, that out of respect for his neighbors and for his son that lives with him, he needs a room that you can't hear out of once you go inside. He would like crisp, pure audio for his videos. That's what he said. When authorities get upstairs to the unit, they find the soundproof room, but they also find various drugs and what has been described by many sources as instruments of torture. They try to arrest Kareem, who tries to miserably fail at making a run for it. They chase him down, they arrest him, and immediately states he has no idea what the police are talking about because he's insane. He's mentally unwell. He cannot be held liable for his actions. He doesn't even know what they're referring to.
So this whole case happened because they found 3 bodies on the side of the road. And did 3 of them all die around the same time?
Yes, relatively.
Okay.
It was like pretty back to back, that there was some sort of connection.
Back to back?
It was, the cool off period, if you will, for the serial killer was very low.
And then he just left them in public, just like that?
Like on stretches of desert land.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Also found in his apartment were deleted but recovered videos from his phone and laptop that show him murdering the 3 victims.
Jesus Christ.
Videos of him drugging, essaying, and torturing the victims, not unlike Jerry Brudos. Eventually, he tells the authorities what happened. He would lure the women to his apartment, drug them with meth and other drugs. At one point, it seems like he's trying to get brownie points for the fact that he fed them narcotics, which would help with the pain that he was inflicting on them. He's like, you know what? I am inflicting a lot of pain. However, I gave them drugs, so it should decrease the pain that they felt.
Right. I'm sure that's how this works.
Sometimes he would even engage in watching sexually sadistic videos while his victims were in his home, incapacitated. Then he would begin his torture. He would start out first by assaulting them, whipping them, pulling their hair, then slowly transitioning into ripping out their nails. He keeps the process slow, painful. Sometimes the victims would be at his apartment for 18 days at a time. It's unclear how many of those days were them consensually believing that they're spending time with a friend versus how many of those days are them actively being tortured and killed. It appears that he likes to relish in the pain that women feel. When he thinks he's done, he slowly strangles them to death, usually with a rope or an iron chain. But even then, he will continue engaging in sexual acts with their corpses.
Okay.
That is crazy. How do you just coming out?
He looks so normal on
like
TikTok.
this?
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
There must be a lot of red flags before this.
A lot. By this point, the body is completely disfigured. He takes the body to the desert and disposes of them. And a total of 3 bodies were found in the desert, but Karim admits there could be at least 6 or more victims. Like at least 6 total victims or more. Unfortunately, most people believe it's a lot more than that. Neighbors said that there were lots of girls going in and out of the house. Alarmingly, sometimes they would even hear screams, but they would stop mid-scream. So it sounded like a scream, but maybe you're goofing around. Maybe you see a bug, you scream, but you don't keep screaming. You don't scream, help me. You just scream once in shock. When Karim is arrested, the police take into custody his 9-year-old son, Zayn, who was living with him. They need to find the next person that would have custody over Zayn because Karim can't take care of him. Karim is going to face the death penalty.
That's crazy. So the son was living in the same house.
Yes.
Wow.
They ask Karim, where is your son's mother? He responds, she's dead. December 13th, 2024, a TikTok goes viral of a woman named Lubna. It's her wearing a blue hoodie, sitting in front of her camera, and she looks very serious. She starts off,
so I was married to a serial killer for 7.5 years. All my videos have been in Arabic to reach the Arabic community. So basically the serial killer, he tried to kill me many times. He tried to kill my sister many times. And then he got caught with 3 bodies in his apartment in a torture chamber. And he's very known in Egypt and the Arab world. And this was recent. This was like 7 months ago. So he had kidnapped my son from me 3 years ago. And anytime I tried to get him, he would basically try to kill me and try to ruin my life and try to find me. Like, I'd be at places and he'd just show up and I'd have to run. And it was just a flippin' nightmare. So finally, when he got caught this May, end of May, they locked him up. He's gonna get hung very soon, hopefully. But the problem is, whenever he got locked up, he told the police that I was dead. So his mom took my son. And till now, it's been 7 months. I haven't seen my son, haven't heard from my son. She's kidnapped him. I filed all police papers, all court papers. I have full custody. I have educational custody. I have every single right. I just could not find this woman.
the serial killer's mom, Zayn's grandma.
So I just need the English world to hear my story, because very soon I'm going to be on a big channel, like something very big that we all have in our house. And you're going to hear my story, but I really hope before that happens, I get my son back, which I'm dying, honestly. I'm like dying to see him. I'm dying to talk to him again. I just need as much exposure as possible. And this lady might be in America. She might be still in Egypt, but who knows? Who knows? I need to find her, and I need everyone's help as much as possible. If you go to my older videos, you'll find pictures of my son. I have put pictures of her there. So if you want to take a look, and if anyone can help me, if any media sources can help me to get my story out there, to help me find my son that I have full rights to, please help me.
This is Karim Salim's wife, and she is not dead. She had to flee Egypt for her own safety, and now she can't get her son back. Lubna says that she found out through the internet that her ex-husband, the father of her child, that had her child, had been arrested in Egypt for being a serial killer. She says in an interview in Egypt, she says, "I couldn't believe it. The first thing she did was call her attorney and just kept asking, is it true? Is it true?" I mean, for a second, she thought it was fake so that she would have to fly to Egypt. It wouldn't be the first time. After she fled Egypt, fearing for her own safety, he would try to lure her back into the country.
Wow.
All these like fake methods. So her sisters live in Egypt. He would call them and say, "Your sister Lubna is dead. You need to come to the morgue to ID her body." And when they came, it's likely that he was, I don't know, these are just allegations and speculations that I personally and a lot of netizens have. He would likely hold the sisters captive to make Lubna come to Egypt.
Did she go?
No. She hasn't been back in Egypt, I don't think, for a while. I mean, she is now, but...
Oh, she is in Egypt right now.
She's searching for her son.
Okay.
But if this is true, that he's a serial killer, Lubna says it was jarring, and Again, this is speculation. I'm sure a part of her felt guilty because perhaps she could have done something to prevent it, but she always felt like she was under the assumption that he just wanted to kill her, which makes sense when you're in a very abusive relationship with someone who's violent. You don't necessarily think that they're a serial killer.
Yeah.
You think that they want to kill you because you're in this relationship with them, right? She did not know that he was out to kill people. Otherwise, she probably would have done something.
Yeah.
She said, I thought I was the only one he tried to kill. At this point, Lubna just knows that she doesn't have her son, Zain. Kareem's mother, Zain's grandmother, has him and she wants him back. She packs all of her clothes. She had fled to the UK at this point because she's a UK citizen. She's a UK national. She grabs all her clothes, leaves everything else, gets on the first flight to Egypt. But the minute she gets there, she reaches out to Kareem's mom, who has her son, and she blocks Lubna. Does not accept her calls, nothing. The message is clear. You're not getting your son back.
Wow.
To Lubna, Kareem was a very normal person when they first started dating. Like the first few years of marriage, he's very normal, very polite, well-mannered, if not even a charismatic guy. It's not until they have their son Zain, things implode. Zain is Lubna's whole world because, you know, when you become a mom, you care about your kids a lot and maybe more than anything else in the world. But Kareem does not like that. He starts getting jealous that Lubna is putting Zain first. Anytime he felt their literal baby's needs were put before his own, which would be all the time and should be all the time, he would blow up on Lubna, getting incredibly aggressive and upset. He became this controlling menace. According to one source that we had translated, he apparently was even in a TikTok where he was promoting an app that helps track your family's location. But the messaging is more so, keep your wife and children safe, which in hindsight is very alarming. Regardless, the relationship just deteriorates from there. He accuses Lubna of cheating on him nonstop. Meanwhile, Lubna literally finds videos of him cheating on her. He would record videos of himself having intimate relations with other women while married with a child. But anytime she would confront him about it, he would beat her, strangle her until she's passed out on the floor, and then he would sob and weep that he was sorry. I think it probably doesn't help that Lubna and Kareem would move around a lot. At some points they were in Egypt, at some points they were in Michigan in the United States, then back to Egypt. It's harder to leave an abusive relationship when you're not in the most familiar territory with a strong support system. One might assume that Lubna also stayed because Kareem's family was financially secure. You know, perhaps it's hard for her to find that stability anywhere else. But that's not true either. Kareem was astonishingly lazy. He refused to work. Lubna was the one making most of the money, paying for their things and taking care of their kids. She says, he tried to kill me several times. He tried to kill my siblings too. All of them are younger than me. This proceeds for about 6 years. Lubna keeps trying to leave Kareem and he keeps coming back and beating her. And I'm sure it's made much more complicated by the fact that they share a child. Eventually, she decides she's going to leave him. She's going to take Zain with her, put her foot down, and conveniently Kareem is like, can I just have a play date with my son? I miss him so much. Just for a few hours, take him out to dinner. Lubna agrees, but that would be the last time she sees her son, Zain. That was 3 years ago. So from what we can piece together from our sources, as a way to make sure that Lubna cannot come back for her son, Kareem files for divorce and accuses her of adultery, stating that he caught her with his own 2 eyes sleeping with his best friend, which I doubt, but regardless, adultery is punishable by law in Egypt, whereas domestic violence was not.
Wow.
So she's facing that, in addition to Kareem waiting outside her place of residence for 4 days straight, threatening to kill her. She had to put on a disguise to leave everything and flee Egypt 3 years ago. And that's why she has attorneys, because for the past 3 years, she's trying to get her son back. Mm-hmm. She's trying not to get killed, because if she gets killed, then her son is forever going to be with Kareem, right? She's just trying to get her son back. She's a British citizen. She's hiring attorneys, spending every cent that she makes on her attorneys, trying to figure out what to do, how to do this. But now that Kareem's been arrested for being a serial killer, she still can't get her son back. He has been quote unquote given to Kareem's mother, and she refuses to let Lubna see her son, let alone she doesn't even know where they are. Lubna believes they might be in Egypt or maybe in Michigan. Now, if you're wondering why Michigan, Kareem used to live there when he was younger. He does have a U.S. citizenship. I don't know if he gave it up for an Egyptian citizenship or if it's dual, but he essayed a girl in Michigan. He does have a criminal record in the United States. He was arrested, And afterwards, he moved to Egypt to, I guess, have a clean start because that's on his record. He can't really get a job in the US. That's why after they had kids, after they had Zayn, they were in the US for a while. He couldn't work. So she's working. At this point, the authorities have found 3 bodies, but it's believed that there are at least 6 victims, at the very least, potentially more. The defense argument lied on Kareem being out of his mind. His lawyer argued that Kareem did not intend to commit premeditated murder. The victims went to him on their own free will. And in fact, if anything, they were benefiting from him. You know, Kareem was spending lavishly on them. That's what the attorney
With
is
whose
alleging,
money?
Which...
How is that related to a murder? Like,
yeah, if someone buys you a Gucci belt, can you just kill them? I don't understand this defense. It's mind-boggling. But he continues, we are facing a strange case that we need to study. My client is a mentally ill person that feels remorse after committing those crimes and should be referred to a medical hospital with a committee of psychiatrists rather than being executed, which the judge clearly did not entertain.
Good.
Kareem Salim was sentenced to death to be hanged. And now Lubna is desperately looking for her son. She reaches out every single day to her son and grandmother. Someone is reading the messages because it says read, but she doesn't know who. She messages her son before she goes to sleep. She doesn't go to sleep much or wake up without thinking about how to get her son back. Her message for her son is, Zayn, I'm never going to stop looking for you until the day that I die, until my very last breath. She says, I used to know what his favorite food was. I don't know if it's changed. I don't know if he's taller than me now. I don't know what he looks like other than from the videos and pictures that were posted on Kareem's TikTok. I don't know what his voice sounds like anymore. I can't see my son. I can't talk to him. I don't know what he loves, what he hates now, how he's growing up. I don't know how he lives his life. I don't know if he goes to school, if he likes school, what subjects he likes. I don't know anything. Because also, you have to think from 6 to 9, it's a huge developmental period where a lot of things change.
Yeah.
Her last memory was about a week before she last saw her son. Zayn asked to purchase a bunch of balloons at the store, and the 2 of them walked around the shopping center, and he would give out balloons to strangers. And she thought it was so fascinating. That's who her son is. He's the type to open doors for strangers for her. And for right now, Lubna's life is on hold. That's kind of how she explains it. She doesn't feel good. She just wants her son back. She's lost about 40 pounds in the past few months, but she's not going to give up. She says when they reunite, she's going to take him to the beach because that's our thing. We love the beach. In one interview in Arabic, she says, someone please help me. Someone stand up with me. Come with me, please. I finally reached the end. I may look okay and be talking on the outside, but on the inside, I'm broken. So most netizens are just trying to get the word out right now to figure out how to get Lubna back. And this will be, one of the rare times that we show a child's face that is not super, I guess, certain cases you see the child's face, like John Benet Ramsey. It's hard to not see her face anywhere when you talk about her, but for this case, if you see him, please reach out to authorities. That's what Lubna says. Reach out to Lubna because legally she has custody. So if that child is with anybody else, that is against the law.
He's either in America or in Egypt.
Yes.
In America, there's Michigan. But in America, he should be in school.
Yes. She has educational custody, and that's a point that she brings up. Nobody can enroll him in school without her because she has educational custody. She is worried that he's missing out on school right now, too, because it's a developmental time that he needs to be in school. He needs to have some sort of semblance of normalcy, right? Because it's just... But a lot of people comment, schools these days, if you're a grandma and you can prove they're the grandma, they're not really going to check. Some schools,
Yeah. I don't know if every school will check, but if he is in school, then I feel like he will be,
be
found pretty quickly. So I feel like it's more likely that he's being hidden away.
Not in
because
school.
of it's already getting so
much
many,
attention.
Yeah.
Like if he was in school, he'd probably be pulled out of school by now.
Or like people would have at least said, oh, that's my friend or my classmate.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. He could also be in Egypt and maybe, I know it's gone viral in the English speaking world. it seems less viral in the Arabic speaking world. I think Kareem's case is viral, but perhaps maybe not her pleas to get her son back.
Wow.
I don't know. The whole thing is so heartbreaking. I do believe that her son is an American national, though. But I don't know. Some people are recommending Lubna go to the U.S. Embassy. I think that she has. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that she has. But just to remind you guys, so many kids go missing in America.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know, it's not just go to the embassy, everything's solved.
Yeah.
So if you guys see anything, hear anything, sense anything, let Lubna know. I'm going to link her GoFundMe as well as her TikTok. Just message her with actual information, I would say, and show her support in her videos. But if you're going to DM her, make sure you have some information because I think it deletes the DMs. But yes, if you know anything, let her know. And with that, please stay safe, everyone. And I will see you in the next one.
Oh, damn. When was this video posted? A month ago? I hope she's okay. Yeah. Damn. Whoa. Interesting. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's crazy. Well, I hope that she finds him. That's it for my Get Ready With Me stream. I'm doing my shit so fast now. Depressing. I will now stop the stream and come back for the gaming and more entertaining part of it all.